Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when heaven places a timestamp on destiny, when delay becomes disobedience, when hesitation becomes loss, and when faith must move faster than fear. This is one of those moments. Imagine the clock of heaven counting down, not in panic, but in purpose. 60 seconds left is not a threat. It is an announcement that something has already been released, authorized, and assigned with your name on it. Right now, beyond what your eyes can see, divine systems are aligning. Doors are opening that logic cannot explain. Resources are shifting, contracts are changing, and favor is being transferred, not because you begged, but because you are positioned. Too many people miss miracles, not because God did not send them, but because they did not recognize the window when it arrived. Opportunity often comes wrapped in urgency, and blessing often demands bold obedience. This is a call to awaken your spiritual awareness. Heaven does not operate on scarcity, it operates on instruction. When God releases provision, He expects participation. Faith is not passive, it responds. What has been delayed is about to be accelerated. What was blocked is being unlocked. What you thought was over is being reopened. But it requires discernment, courage, and action. Right now, your mindset matters. Your words matter. Your response matters. You are not listening by accident. You are here by alignment. This is a moment to shift from waiting to receiving, from hoping to opening, from praying someday to acting now. The question is not whether heaven has moved. The question is whether you will. Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments when time itself becomes a messenger, when the ticking of seconds is not about pressure, but about precision. This is not coincidence, and this is not delay. This is a divine alert. 60 seconds left is heaven's way of announcing that what was authorized long before this moment has now reached the point of manifestation. God does not rush, but He does move suddenly, and when He moves suddenly, it requires readiness, awareness, and faith that responds without negotiation. Too many people misunderstand divine timing. They think waiting means inactivity, but waiting in faith is preparation. What you have been praying for has been moving through spiritual systems, legal frameworks of heaven, and realms you cannot see. Provision does not arrive empty-handed, it arrives carrying instruction. When God sends money, favor, opportunity, or access, it is not simply to relieve pressure, but to advance purpose. This moment is not about survival. It is about alignment with assignment. There are blessings that are time-sensitive, not because God is limited, but because destiny is layered with seasons. Miss the season, and you delay the harvest. Miss the instruction, and you postpone the manifestation. Many people say they believe, but belief without action is agreement without engagement. Faith must be activated. Faith must respond. Faith must open what God has already sent. Right now, heaven is shifting resources. What was held up is being released. What was tied up is being loosed. What was stuck in cycles of delay is being accelerated. God is not improvising. He is executing what was already written. The problem has never been God's ability to provide. The challenge has always been human readiness to receive. Readiness is not about perfection. It is about posture. Are you positioned to open what arrives, or will fear, doubt, and hesitation cause you to watch it pass by? Some doors do not knock twice. Not because God is cruel, but because opportunity respects obedience. When God speaks, movement matters. When God signals, response matters. When God sends provision, it is often disguised as an instruction, a call, an idea, a decision that requires courage. Many miss financial breakthroughs because they are waiting for money to fall from the sky, while God is waiting for them to move their feet. This is why urgency matters. Urgency does not mean anxiety, it means awareness. It means recognizing that this moment carries weight. It means understanding that divine favor often comes with a window. The enemy cannot stop what God sends, but he can distract you long enough to make you miss it. Distraction is the silent thief of destiny. Comfort delays obedience. Familiarity dulls discernment. Right now, your mindset must shift. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are standing at the intersection of promise and possession. What you do next determines what you experience next. God has already signed the check. Heaven is waiting for you to endorse it with faith. Faith is not loud, it is decisive. Faith does not debate with doubt. It moves before doubt can speak. Some of you have been praying for increase, but God is testing stewardship. Some have been asking for overflow, but God is examining obedience. Increase does not come to those who only desire it. It comes to those who are prepared to manage it. When God sends money, it is never random. It is connected to vision, responsibility, and impact. What you receive is meant to move through you, not stop with you. This moment is also about perception. If you see yourself as lacking, you will hesitate when provision arrives. If you see yourself as unworthy, you will delay when favor opens. But when you understand who you are and whose you are, you open without apology. You receive without guilt. You move without fear. Confidence is not arrogance. It is agreement with what God has already declared. There is a spiritual law at work right now. When heaven releases, earth must respond. When God sends, someone must receive. When provision is dispatched, alignment determines access. You are not listening to this by accident. This is a signal. This is a reminder. This is a wake-up call to shake off passivity and step into participation. Time is not running out, it is being redeemed. 60 seconds left is not about loss. It is about last moment clarity. It is about choosing faith over familiarity, obedience over comfort, action over delay. This is the kind of moment that changes trajectories, rewrites narratives, and shifts generations when someone decides not to hesitate, but to open, to receive, to move, to act, to believe, to align, to obey, to step forward, to respond, to engage, to claim, to position, to activate, to trust, to release fear, to silence doubt, to recognize opportunity, to seize instruction, to move in confidence, to walk in authority, to stand ready, to say yes internally before the door even appears. Ladies and gentlemen, understand this clearly. Divine provision is never random, and heaven never sends anything without intention. What God releases carries your name, your assignment, and your next level within it. Many people assume money is merely currency, but in the realm of faith, it is also a tool, a signal, and a confirmation that movement has been authorized. When God sends provision, He is not just answering a need, He is endorsing direction. There are moments when God answers prayer by shifting your capacity rather than changing your circumstance. You asked for relief, but He sends responsibility. You prayed for ease, but He releases opportunity. And opportunity often arrives demanding discernment, speed, and courage. This is where many hesitate. They want confirmation before movement, but heaven often confirms after obedience. Faith is not a feeling, it is alignment with instruction, even when logic is still catching up. Right now, there is a transfer happening, not only of resources, but of mindset. Poverty thinking keeps people praying for crumbs, while abundance thinking positions them to receive access. God does not bless limitation, He blesses expansion. Expansion begins in the mind. If you cannot see yourself receiving, managing, and multiplying what God sends, you will unconsciously resist it when it arrives. This is why preparation is spiritual. This is why readiness is internal before it is external. Many have delayed blessings because they were waiting for everything to make sense. But faith was never designed to make sense. It was designed to make movement. God does not reveal the full picture to those who refuse to take the first step. Provision often shows up in fragments, an idea here, a conversation there, an instruction that seems too simple to be supernatural. But heaven hides miracles inside obedience. Some of you have been praying against lack, but God is addressing discipline. Some have been rebuking delay, but God is refining decision making. Breakthrough is not only about spiritual warfare, it is about spiritual maturity. When God trusts you with more, He expects consistency, integrity, and clarity. The blessing does not change who you are, it reveals who you have become. Right now, time sensitivity matters because momentum is spiritual. When momentum is present, hesitation becomes costly. This is why delayed obedience feels heavy. It creates friction in the spirit. The window is open, the signal has been sent, and movement is required. God is not pressuring you. He is positioning you. Pressure comes from fear. Positioning comes from purpose. There are doors that open quietly. No announcement, no applause. Just an opportunity waiting for recognition. Many miss these doors because they are looking for drama instead of direction. But the voice of God is often calm, firm, and urgent at the same time. It does not beg. It instructs. It does not confuse. It clarifies. When God sends money, favor, or access, it is often accompanied by a knowing rather than noise. This moment is also about trust. Trusting God enough to move when you cannot trace the outcome. Trusting that what He sends will not destroy you, but develop you. Some fear increase because they associate it with loss, stress, or past failures. But God does not repeat cycles, He redeems them. What hurt you before will not harm you again when wisdom is present. There is also a spiritual exchange happening. Old limitations are being replaced with new capacity. Old excuses are being confronted by new instruction. God is not asking you to do everything, He is asking you to do something. One step, one response, one act of obedience. Heaven responds to movement, not intention. You must also recognize that provision is connected to purpose beyond yourself. God funds impact. He supports vision. He backs assignments that extend beyond personal comfort. When money comes, it is meant to flow, not stagnate. Stagnation kills momentum. Movement sustains increase. This is why generosity often unlocks doors that prayer alone does not. Right now, alignment is more important than effort. You do not need to strive harder. You need to listen clearer. God is already speaking. The question is whether distractions have lowered your sensitivity. Noise dulls discernment. Stillness sharpens it. When you slow down internally, you speed up spiritually. This is not about chasing money. It is about responding to God. Money is a byproduct of obedience, not the goal of faith. When you keep the goal clear, provision finds you. When you chase provision without purpose, frustration follows. God is recalibrating priorities so that what He sends does not become what distracts you. This moment carries instruction, clarity, urgency, and opportunity all at once. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now, what you sense in your spirit is not imagination, it is alignment. Heaven does not tease, it prepares. When God alerts you, it is because movement is required. This is a divine nudge to stop overthinking, stop postponing, stop negotiating with fear, and begin responding with trust, awareness, obedience, readiness, confidence, clarity, humility, discipline, courage, expectancy, stewardship, movement, faith, action, discernment, and alignment. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a difference between waiting on God and missing God. And the difference is discernment. Many people assume that if something is truly meant for them, it will arrive loudly, clearly, and repeatedly. But often, divine provision arrives quietly, wrapped in a moment that requires sensitivity rather than spectacle. God does not always announce what He sends. He expects you to recognize it. This is why spiritual awareness matters more than emotional excitement. Excitement fades, but awareness sustains movement. When God sends something with your name on it, it aligns with your spirit before it ever makes sense to your mind. You feel a pull, a prompting, an internal signal that says now. That signal is not pressure, it is permission. Heaven has already cleared the path. What remains is your response. Many have missed opportunities because they were looking for reassurance instead of instruction. Reassurance comforts, but instruction transforms. God is not obligated to explain everything He assigns. He gives just enough light for the next step. When you demand full clarity before moving, you unintentionally delay what has already been released. Faith does not wait for certainty, it creates it through obedience. Right now, discernment is your greatest asset. Discernment helps you distinguish between distraction and direction, between noise and nudging, between delay and denial. Not every closed door is a rejection, and not every open door is a blessing. But when God opens a door connected to your assignment, it carries peace even in uncertainty. It may challenge you, stretch you, or require sacrifice, but it will not confuse you. This moment is also about recognizing patterns. God often repeats instruction before He repeats provision. If you have been hearing the same idea, feeling the same prompting, encountering the same opportunity in different forms, it is not coincidence. It is confirmation. Heaven speaks in patterns when urgency is present. Repetition is mercy. It is God ensuring you do not miss what has already been sent. There are times when God releases provision, but the enemy releases distraction at the same time. Not to stop you, but to slow you. Delay does not always come from resistance. It often comes from hesitation. Hesitation feels responsible, but it can be rooted in fear. Fear disguises itself as wisdom when you overanalyze what God has already instructed you to do. This is why obedience must be immediate. Immediate obedience is not impulsive, it is informed by relationship. When you know God's voice, you do not need a committee to confirm it. You move because you recognize who is speaking. Delayed obedience weakens momentum. Momentum is spiritual energy that carries you through uncertainty. When momentum is broken, doubt gains volume. Right now, God is sharpening your perception. What once felt normal will begin to feel heavy. What once distracted you will begin to feel draining. This is not confusion, it is clarity increasing. God removes appetite for what no longer serves your assignment. He narrows focus so that when provision arrives, you are not divided in attention. This moment also requires courage. Not loud courage, but quiet resolve. The courage to say yes internally before you see the outcome. The courage to open your hands instead of clenching them. Many miss provision because they fear responsibility more than lack. Increase brings exposure. Exposure brings accountability. But God does not expose you to embarrass you. He exposes you to elevate you. There is also a responsibility attached to recognition. When you recognize what God sends, you become accountable for how you respond. Ignorance feels safe because it postpones decision, but awareness demands movement. God trusts those who respond. Trust is built through obedience. Each step you take strengthens your ability to hear the next instruction clearly. You must also understand that not every opportunity will wait for emotional readiness. Some moments are assigned to stretch you into maturity. God is less concerned with your comfort than your growth. Growth requires tension. It requires choosing faith when emotions are still catching up. When God sends money, access, or opportunity, He often does so at the edge of your capacity so that your dependence remains on Him. This is not about rushing, it is about responding. Rushing is driven by anxiety. Responding is driven by clarity. You do not need to panic, you need to perceive. Heaven is calm. Heaven is intentional. Heaven is precise. The urgency you sense is not chaos, it is alignment calling you forward. Right now, alignment means releasing old mindsets. Scarcity thinking, hesitation habits, self-doubt narratives, and fear-based decision making cannot coexist with divine acceleration. God does not accelerate what you refuse to release. Letting go is not loss, it is positioning. When your hands are open, you can receive. This moment is teaching you how to recognize God in motion. Not just in prayer, not just in worship, but in decisions, opportunities, conversations, and timing. God is not distant, He is present in the now. When you recognize His movement, you move with Him. When you move with Him, provision finds you already in motion, already aligned, already positioned, already aware, already responsive, already ready, already attentive, already discerning, already courageous, already obedient, already open, already prepared. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest misconceptions about divine blessing is that it arrives only after everything is settled, calm, and perfectly arranged. In reality, God often releases provision in the middle of motion, tension, and transition. It comes while you are still becoming, while questions remain unanswered, and while faith is being exercised rather than celebrated. This is because God is not waiting for conditions to be ideal. He is waiting for alignment to be present. Alignment is not about having all the details. It is about having the right posture. A receptive posture recognizes that God's ways are higher than human strategy. When heaven sends something with urgency attached, it is not because of shortage, but because of timing. Timing is sacred. There are seasons when movement must be swift because the atmosphere is favorable. Miss the atmosphere, and you may have to wait for it to shift again. Many people believe that if God is involved, there will be no risk, but faith has always involved risk. The risk is not in the outcome, the risk is in obedience. Obedience requires trust, and trust requires surrender. God often stretches your comfort zone before He expands your capacity. When provision arrives, it tests not only your faith, but your readiness to handle what comes with it. This moment is also about responsibility. What God sends is connected to what He expects to grow through you. Provision is seed before it is supply. Seed demands planting, patience, and stewardship. Those who consume seed lose future harvest. Those who plant seed participate in multiplication. God watches how you handle what He sends to determine what comes next. Right now, there is a shift from praying for miracles to managing miracles. Many are good at believing, but unprepared at maintaining. Increase exposes habits. It reveals discipline levels. It highlights character. This is why God often delays provision until maturity is present. Not because He withholds, but because He protects you from what you are not yet ready to sustain. There are moments when heaven moves quickly, not to pressure you, but to propel you. Propulsion requires release. You cannot move forward while holding on to outdated mindsets, past disappointments, or fear-based narratives. Weight slows movement. God removes weight so that acceleration does not exhaust you. This moment also requires clarity of purpose. Money without purpose becomes distraction. Access without vision becomes confusion. Opportunity without direction becomes burden. God does not overload you, He aligns you. When provision is tied to purpose, it energizes instead of overwhelms. You will feel stretched, but not scattered. There is also a refining taking place. God is teaching you to distinguish between good opportunities and God opportunities. Not every open door is assigned. Some doors test your discernment. Saying no is sometimes as spiritual as saying yes. Alignment requires selectivity. Focus is not limitation, it is precision. Right now, your ability to manage time is being tested. Time stewardship reflects priority clarity. When God accelerates, He expects you to move with intention. Wandering wastes momentum. Purpose channels energy. This is why clarity matters in moments of urgency. Without clarity, urgency becomes anxiety. You must also recognize that divine provision often challenges existing systems in your life. It may disrupt routines, require new structures, or demand unfamiliar skills. Growth requires adjustment. God does not pour new wine into old wineskins because expansion requires flexibility. Flexibility is a spiritual discipline. This moment is about developing confidence rooted in obedience, not outcome. Confidence built on outcome fluctuates. Confidence built on obedience remains stable. You do not need to know how everything will unfold to know who instructed you to move. Trusting the source gives you peace in the process. There is also an invitation to elevate your standards. Increase demands excellence. God honors diligence. Sloppiness limits sustainability. When provision comes, it expects preparation to meet it. Preparation is not perfection. It is intentional improvement. Small adjustments create room for larger impact. This is not about comparison. Someone else's blessing timeline has nothing to do with yours. God deals with individuals uniquely. Comparison distorts gratitude. Gratitude sharpens perception. When you remain grateful, you remain sensitive to what God is doing now, not distracted by what He is doing elsewhere. Right now, heaven is calling for participation, not observation. You are not meant to watch opportunity pass. You are meant to engage it. Engagement requires courage, clarity, discipline, and faith working together. Faith without discipline becomes enthusiasm without results. Discipline without faith becomes effort without direction. This moment carries both promise and responsibility. God is not only sending provision, He is shaping capacity. Capacity determines sustainability. Sustainability determines legacy. What you do now affects what you will be trusted with later. Heaven is intentional. Nothing is wasted. Every instruction carries purpose. Every moment carries weight. Every step matters. Every response counts. Every decision builds alignment. Every act of obedience strengthens trust. Every release creates room. Every movement positions you further into purpose. Every yes opens space for more. Every shift brings clarity. Every adjustment invites growth. Every alignment activates momentum.